because of past experiences and bad relationships and hurt and being broken as a person, you give up. And I'm not gonna lie. So when I met him, I literally told him, I do not believe in marriage. It's not that I did not want marriage. In my inner hearts, yes, I would love to be married.
Right.
But I was so broken to a point, like, yeah, we could date. I don't believe in it. And like, we'd be cool. We could just be friends. The beautiful thing is, he knew that was through circumstances. Like, he knew how to, like, I don't know, heal me. Like, you had enough value, like, just to kind of like, just bring out my value. And so it's kind of weird that I'm the one who was not looking for commitment and he was looking for commitment. It's not that I didn't want it. I want commitment. It's just this world breaks you down.
Hey guys, this is my husband Marquise.
This is my wife Nilam.
And this is Love and War.
Today we have a special guest. Many people talk about love. People don't believe that love exists today. And I have proof right in front of me. This woman. No, I'm joking. But we've been married for 13 years, as you already know. And one of the things that makes our marriage successful is getting with other married couples. Right. And you don't, it's like when they say if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Right. Well, I feel like if we're the ones who've been married the longest, then we're not, we don't have no one to kind of learn from. So we have our good friends right here, Raphael and Ronica. They've been married for 18 years, going on 18 years. Go ahead, say it again.
18 years in October.
Yes.
We had a problem with her microphone, so we decided to have a unified mic. Just wanted you guys to know that. That's how we're working. We want to show you a demonstration of what marriage looks like. Pretty much, you share everything. All right. So, without further ado, we want to introduce to you 18 years of success, three beautiful children. Y'all give it up for Big Ralph and the beautiful Ronica. How y'all doing? We're glad to have you here.
Oh, we're honored.
I'm glad to be here.
We're so honored.
So much respect for both of you all. Again, I shared before, I have a lot of respect for couples who work together. As far as we work together, it's always been a motivating factor of mine. Always wanting to work with my wife, but to be with another couple such as you guys is awesome. So thank you guys for having us.
No, thank you. And if I could just say, I say everything he's saying, but I also just, I love you, love you. And I love that you guys just show that couple and just, you guys are a strong couple. And people look up to y'all and you guys are truthful. You guys speak so much truth and facts and just great representative of just period. So, it's an honor to be amongst you and just to be around you. Because, they are it. They're seriously, yes. I'm not even putting anything on it.
Absolutely.
They're really
themselves.
Well, I have to say the feeling is absolutely mutual. Honestly, the reason why we wanted to have you guys on is because you reflect love. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
And love in the sense of the word duty, not just
yes, ma'am.
talk, actual actions. And then I just feel like you can tell a lot about a marriage by the smile on the wife's face. And you see that smile. So I just want to say, I want to ask you, what do you guys feel like is the best part of marriage so far after all this time?
All this time. First thing that comes to mind is just we're still in love.
Yeah.
I not only love him, but I'm still in love.
Come on.
He's my best friend. I want to hang out with him. I'm not the one that I'm dreading to be around him.
Right.
And I'm not clingy either.
Right.
Well, no, I'm joking. No,
we're all over the place.
No, but I feel like it's really refreshing and I want to talk to him. I'm not getting bored when I call him, and I call him a couple times a day and we talk often. We communicate a lot, and I don't know, it's refreshing. I enjoy it. I love.
Yeah, I think that's the vibe that you get from you guys. It's kind of it's hard because when you see people who've been married for a long time, you see it. But when you see people who are dating, you see man, that's new, that's fresh. And what you feel with you guys is a constant freshness. It's always new. It's always exciting. Every time she can bring you up. She's constantly, that's her answer. It really is love. So we got to know what is Big Ralph's secret. What you doing, man?
No, I was going to say, growing up, it's funny, I've always been a fan of the idea of being in love, as far as it's reflected on some of the music that I listen to. Again, big Natalie Cole fan, some of the jazz standards, things like that, Brazilian jazz. But I've always grown up with the idea of being in love. And, as far as I mentioned before, my wife knows, as far as I have an uncle who did like hauling when I was a teenager all the way up until like age of 22. And both him and his wife worked together. And as far as I was like, man, I want to do that, as far as I'd love to just like work with my wife, one of my first jobs, husband and wife team, like I like that, you know what I mean? And so that always resonated with me. And so I would say, like she had said, I mean, I'm still very much in love with my wife. Like I share with her multiple times throughout the week, babe, like, I love you, you know what I mean? And man, you look so good. Hey, you are gorgeous.
Now I have to bear witness. This is funny hearing you say this because she says that.
Wow.
She's like, oh my God, he compliments me all the time. And I'm always like, oh my God, how do I deserve it? And it's like for you to say like, well, I do it. It's like, wow, that was just so cute to see that.
No,
really
it's a trip because, when I first saw her image, I remember how I reacted. Like it was some years ago, but when I first saw her photo, I had a friend that was with me, and I was like, "Bro, that's gonna be my wife, straight up." And I literally claimed
that's
it.
Right.
That was just a photo.
And it was just a photo. Now, mind you, I didn't even know where in California. I just knew that she was in California, and then I was kind of reading. I was, oh, Bay Area, it's over. So, yeah. So,
okay.
But yeah, I'd say as far as I mean. What I enjoy is growing together as far as new experiences. And when you have new experiences, this translates into conversations where you get to learn more about each other and what is it in particular, about the experience you enjoyed. And you understand the sensibilities, the nuances, and small things like that help you to know more about your partner and what they enjoy and what they like and how they respond to things.
Right.
And it just helps to fine tune each other, and dial into each other to the point where you don't even have to say anything. You both are on the
one accord.
It just happened today. Like literally I was like cutting my hair and I was like, I haven't talked to Ronica.
Wait, what was you cutting?
I know, it grows. It does grow. It does grow. You know what I mean? So I was like, hold on, let me just trim it. But as far as I was like, it's been a minute. Let me just check my phone. Literally, it didn't say like 2 minutes ago. Like the text literally for timestamp said now. And she was like, hey, just wanted to find out. Like it happens all the time.
All the time.
And that's just as a result of just kind of like
just tuning in with each other.
Just tuning in and spending quality time. So, yeah.
I just recently heard Brother Nuri speaking, and he was saying, like, you can tell, he's like, if you're in a restaurant and you see the couple who are just laughing and talking, and then you see the couple who's like silent or maybe on the phone, he's like, the ones who are laughing are dating, and the ones who are silent are married. He's like, you'll go up to a lovely looking couple, and it's like, are you guys married? No, we're not dating. You go to the other couple, you guys married? Yeah, 17 years. And I just feel like it's interesting to see you who have been married 17 years, but you reflect that friendship, that happiness, that laughter. And so seeing you look like a dating couple. I hate that because it's like there's such a stigma on marriage that it's just this whack dead life, which is just stupid. But I mean, of course that does exist, but to me that's not the norm. Based off my experiences, based off my peers, the marriages that I get to witness on a daily basis, they're absolutely beautiful. So I just love that. And I just want to know, how do you guys maintain that friendship in your opinion? Or is it just a natural thing?
Well, it's funny, you did mention something that kind of brought me into something, because like you said, there's bad vibes on marriage and people don't. I was that one.
Oh, right.
No, I'm not even exaggerating. Because of past experiences and bad relationships and hurt and being broken as a person, you give up. And I'm not going to lie. So when I met him, I literally told him, I do not believe in marriage. It's not that I did not want marriage. In my inner hearts, yes, I would love to be married.
Right.
But I was so broken to a point, like, yeah, we could date. I don't believe in it. And like, we'll be cool. We could just be friends. Yeah, we could just continue this path.
So many women.
Yeah.
And I thought that I'll be okay with it. Mom will say this, the beautiful thing is, he knew that was through circumstances. Like him saying, like, that's going to be my wife. Like, he knew how to, like, I don't know, heal me. Like, you had enough value, like, just to kind of, like, just bring out my value and just say, no, she wants marriage. So it's kind of weird that I'm the one who was not looking for commitment and he was looking for commitment. It's not that I didn't want it. I want commitment. It's just this world breaks you down.
And I think that's what I think is important about this conversation, and what I love about you guys is dynamic, is that today first thing, I want to go back to what you said earlier.
Yes, sir.
You already had the mindset of marriage in you, like from as a child. And one of the things that you said that I think stuck out was about how the music you listened to and how the music really influenced how you felt. And is it a coincidence that we, especially as Black people, are slowly not getting married as our music is slowly degenerating? And so you see that we're looking at each other in culture as we're like speaking like, why is it that we think they're ratchet and they think they're niggas and we think we have all this kind of talk with each other, but we have music in the way that we are in arts and culture, it tends to reflect that. And so I think and I think we're in a time too where there is a lot, that story you said about, that's like a lot of our women today. That's what we're hearing. And the problem with a lot of us as men is that the way we're responding is we're responding as if they didn't have pain, as if they didn't have these kind of problems. And so to meet a brother who's like, well, my response was, I just was me and I was consistent in my love. And to see how 18 years later, how she responded, it's like, wow, so many people are going through this today, but here's an example on how even if, as a man, if you can stay consistent and if you make sure that whatever's surrounding you, remember we was taught that whatever enters the diameter of your thinking controls the circumference of your activity.
Absolutely.
And so I just think it's important, and based off of what you guys just said of how the atmosphere is, and now even if there is one gender that's not all the way like that needs a certain level of healing, how true love and being assertive can really help and heal that.
It's interesting because I do remember having that conversation, and immediately I was like, oh, that's BS. And so I was able to kind of read right through, and I figured it happened to be circumstances with other individuals that she may have had in the past. And so I was able to look past that, and see, what it was. I think all that needed to be done was being consistent. That is all that needed to be done. I also made it a thing, kind of realizing and having a sense of, because I remember some of the early conversations we had, I wanted to kind of understand what had happened, and then get a sense for, okay, well, transparency is going to help her.
Yeah.
Being very transparent with, you know what I mean? Like perhaps like not like a simp to where like I'm like just you know what I mean? But it was like I need to provide a fair amount of balance and transparency so that she feels comfortable understanding
makes her feel
my
safe.
whereabouts in the sense that I'm not out, for example, talking to somebody else or dating someone else or with someone or getting to know someone else, and so I thought that was really important, is to be consistent and provide some transparency. And I think I even opened up. I mean, it was a trip because I opened up really early. I mean, it was after a first or second date. I kid you not. I was like, what did I do? I think I said like, I love you, like in an email, right? I was tripping. I was like, bro, what did you do? Like, reel that thing back, bro. I was trying to recover.
That turned you away, huh?
No, I was like,
bro.
That's sweet.
Oh, yeah, right.
She said, that's sweet. He's going to be my friend.
Right.
Yes, I was like, well, I have love for you.
Right. Oh, bro. I remember where I was at. I was doing like a tip job, right? And I read the email. And I was like, bro, you got to pull this thing back a little bit. And I was like, well, when I said love, what I meant was, and I'm like, bro, what did you do? But, I was opening up a little too early, and I was like, bro, this is just, you're sounding weak right now, This is not how it, but it all worked out, thankfully. But yeah, I was a little, maybe too transparent.
So, Ronica, as a woman who had a whole bunch of reserve over marriage, and like how he mentioned, like, hey, I need to be transparent, and it's funny that you say that, because a lot of times women, of course, we love to feel safe.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that that's just a physical thing, like keep me safe from harm. But the fact of, me knowing your whereabouts, or me just trusting you makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
But what was the thing that kind of like finally like made you go, you know what, I submit, and I'm gonna go for this thing. I'm gonna marry you, and I trust you, and my trauma or whatever I've been through doesn't matter anymore.
Man, you know what? I think there's so many things that was happening, and you said consistently. Like, I think there was one thing that I was like kind of, that kind of like hit the nail. You know what I mean?
Was it?
Like his work ethic, you know?
Come on.
So not to say like, you know, I wanted to see like, okay, it's not just working like on the computer.
Right.
Can you work in the backyard? Like, you know what I mean?
Labor.
Labor.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
Right.
I just don't want somebody, like, I have no problem getting down, getting dirty.
Right.
And I thought at first he was a little conservative. And I was like, is he going to show that side of him? Like, let's get down, let's dig a hole, let's make this happen. So like, can you work, you know, just moving a washing machine?
Get your hands dirty.
Get your hands dirty.
Right.
So I didn't know that he did that. He worked like with his
hauling, putting dirt on trucks.
Like I didn't know that, but he was hiding that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So that helped. His work ethic actually really helped me to see him for who he is, because I think what it is when you start working, you really see a person of their qualities.
Right.
It really brings out.
Right.
You can see the worst of somebody, the best of somebody.
Right.
Like, and then I was really able to understand who he was just through his work ethic.
Right.
So, I think it was just his work and his discipline.
Oh, come on, let's let's teach on that.
His discipline, because like he did not drink. And he was not trying to push himself. Like he was holding his discipline with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I, you know, as women, because you in the world, you expect people trying to get up on you, trying to do stuff with you. Like you expect that.
Right.
He was not. So I was like, so those things, I was like, okay, he's a little different here.
Right.
And those things kind of made me see him for who he is, and he was consistent with that, you know. And I was okay. The only thing that kind of bothered me was
What?
him being late.
Oh yeah. That's
Like,
true.
I'm like, on time.
That is true. That is
Yeah, but other than that, but everything wasn't good.
still working on
I
that.
asked, why were you different? Why didn't you drink? Why were you not trying to get up in it? And do, you know, like, why were you so different?
So as far as, you know, credit to my mom, you know, I grew up in the church. I'm not saying that I was any way like saved and filled with the Holy Ghost, nothing like that at all. But I think it was kind of that fear of God kind of thing, and just knowing kind of like karma, like whatever I do will come back. So even before meeting my wife, you know, I remember in the past that, you know how back in the day, you know, it might be a group of friends, you might get numbers or whatnot. And I remember like, I'm not going to move forward with this young lady. I'm not even trying to do anything, but I'm like, I don't want to like lead her on. You know what I mean? As far as, let me just call this thing off. And so as far as just having that conscience was always there. But I never, you know, didn't drink, didn't smoke, anything like that. Didn't mean that I was perfect, you know, didn't do other things, but as far as that's just really wasn't my thing. And even coming up in high school, like I was around groups of brothers and, you know, who did whatever, but I was always able to hold my own. And so, and it was cool because I could still be respected and be here, there, and it was never and the thing about it too is like I could always, like, people don't say cap anymore, but roast, or you know what I mean, so I could always get with somebody quick, so that was never a problem. So I kind of held, you know,
but I'm gonna say about him holding his own is true, because I think that's something else I saw in him, that he was not afraid to really be himself. You know, because so many times you're it's a shield of being who you are, and then you might go into certain circles and just kind of fall into something, but it's not really you.
Right.
You don't really want to do this, but because of peer pressure.
Right.
But he's like, no, I'm good. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
And just fine with it.
Yeah. Fine with
I mean,
it.
I had
Yeah.
my own music selection, like I said, listening to house and all that. But it was
Yeah.
never
Really
like,
has.
but I never, and friends knew that. You know,
Right.
they would clown, like, oh, this nigga over here, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or nigga got his Bill Cosby sweater on and this. And, but I could always get back, you know, with him. It's like, okay, nigga, shut up. You know, all right, you know.
Yeah, I love that.
But as far as, you know, and thankfully, I think that's kind of what, if I didn't have that, and I credit my mother, because my mother is a fighter and she's very quick, her wit. So kind of growing up in the household where, you know, she you know, so I learned that from her, and I thank my mother for that. So
How was your father?
Oh, my father. So as far as, even though my parents had divorced when we were young, thankfully my father was present, you know? And so thankfully there was co-parenting to where it was never like, okay, what did your dad say? Okay, as far as, well, forget that. You can do X. It wasn't like that. As far as there was a respect, they were rearing us together, although in separate homes. And so I never felt as though I did not have a father. And he was very much kind of instilling kind of fundamentals, you know, always about, you know, pay your bills on time. And, you know, I mean, that was kind of his thing.
So
you
he
know?
showed, even in
you
them
know?
being separate, he still showed like,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
a good backbone as far as being a good example for you
Yes,
as
sir.
a man.
Yes,
I want
sir.
to go back to something real quick
Yes, sir.
and to jump back. You know, I don't let nothing fly. So when he said he loved you, right? Let's go there.
Yeah,
What
that was a
was okay? So I want you to work through your thought process of like when that comes in. Did it send you out? If what reeled you back in, or did you know, or did it send you in? Did you come in deeper? Like, wow, I've never had no one really just.
No, I had people say that.
I don't feel special anymore.
Okay.
No, not like that, but not that. Okay, so for me, first thing I did, I showed your email to my friends.
So I
Love it. Love it.
I don't know if I remember that though. Right. Okay.
No, because I was like,
Shady.
is this real?
Shade.
He's already here? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm there yet. So, but I was not going to say I love you too. I didn't feel bad. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I think I was like, kind of like, are you really saying this? Are you really there?
Right. Are you trying to play?
Yeah, like I was kind of, not to say he was trying to play me or anything, but I was just like, oh, I don't know if he's really there. Like, does he know what love is? Like, you know what I mean? Because I felt like, I've been in love and I know, like, you know, now compared to what we have, I understand what this is love.
Yeah.
No.
Had you been in love before that?
You told me you did.
Slow down.
Did you lie?
No, yes. As far as, you know, yes. But as far as, to be honest with you, we're talking about like high school. We're talking about
Right. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as far as at this point, I'm in my early 20s. I've already accepted, you know what I mean? I have a sense of what I want, what I'm going for, you know, how to choose a particular mate, what qualities I'm looking for. But yes, but as far as it was nothing on this level at all. Nothing on this level at all. Yep.
Okay, so when it didn't throw you away.
It didn't throw me away. I just thought, like, I don't know if he knows. And that's what I got. And then he's like, oh, no, I didn't really know. I was like, yeah, right.
I can tell you what led to it is that it was a very beautiful first date. This first date, I kid you not, I was
Okay, so this is after the first date already? The
So
reason
this was
why
after-
reason why I'm asking a lot about it, and the reason why is because today there's a lot of war with stuff, you know, with a lot of things. And it's been for a minute, but with, you know, if you say something too quick with people just leave out. So, and then you said, you know, with just your with just the history of like having gone through stuff, a lot of times it's very hard to accept when something is real it is. And I've been on both sides of that, where I'm like, I'm dealing with someone and I'm weird, and then I'm dealing with, I'm like, I'm seriously into this, and then that's too much for you. You know what I mean? So it's to hear like a woman's mindset on, you know, when this kind of thing happens is something to, you know, just to hear about. It all worked out and it worked, but I know some girls, they'll be like, that could pull them away. And some girls, after, you know, when they've been through stuff, they need a certain level of trauma, you know, in the situation. So when something is kind of pure, it's really hard to pierce through.
I think what you said, because he said that, and then there was this period where we were like, not to say you didn't show too much emotion at all.
Oh yeah, I had to kind of pull back. I was like, whoa, I did way too much.
And then I was like looking for it, like, wait, how's this look? How's it, you know what I mean? And I started looking
and that's
for
important to know. You know what I'm saying? Because you throw one part, we want to hear that, the balancing. Because I think sometimes with guys, we got to know when you go in, you do got to, it is you got to rail in, you got to pull out, you got to make her start pulling, you know what I mean?
I remember the games to where it was like, wait a second, she hasn't called me. Well, he hasn't called me. Well, wait a second, hold on.
Right.
And I remember that whole thing, and next thing you know, like a whole week goes by, and it feels like 2 or 3 weeks, a week.
Right,
it's like
exactly what you said.
Yes.
And then next thing you know, it was like, oh, well, you didn't call. And I was like, man, I just wasted like all these emotions, and like a darn month is going by. Like we could have resolved this like in like a day or two.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Facts.
But him not calling it worked.
But I was kind of like, okay, well, whatever, for a little bit. But then it was like, when I started building more of a friendship, and I started like, okay, I really kind of like him, and he was still holding his. It's like, man, he's not even showing nothing. Like, hold on. Like, it just like I was searching more for, not to say attention, but I was like, come on, I like you. You don't like me back? You just told me you love me, but...
It is so great to see how you're pretty much, you see it already, but the things that we have to do. It's like, one thing I got to say, there's just a quality when you can raise boys who see marriage in sight. I think you got to train them from that institution, should be trained early. However, you also got to let them know that, you know, you got to kind of... You can't give it all, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they got to know that you have value, you know, and they got to know, like, you know, and at a certain point, you know, especially with us being men, I know everyone, the leadership and all that kind of stuff. I'm a man who likes to lead, and but I like partnership, and I think a good leader knows when you should take someone else's, you know, leadership. It's like a president sits in a room with people who are smarter than him.
Absolutely.
So even though he's the lead, you know, when it comes to foreign affairs, I trust that this guy's, you know, has been to places I haven't been to.
That's wisdom.
And so, but within it, you got to make sure you know, pay close. So I wanted to get the balance in that to see what, you know, how that works.
That's how that worked out.
Right. I mean, you know, y'all get strong. You know, when you start saying stuff, and you're like, oh, I got him, I'm done.
I sensed that with the response that she gave, and like I said, that's when I kind of pulled back. And I think what ended up happening is from that point on, I started to kind of hold back a little too much.
You hold back too much.
And so what happened is I started to
held back just enough.
You got it. But you know, at a certain point, I realized too that I'm not really being my full self. I was being a little too ultra conservative. And what I was trying to do is be the complete opposite of the world. But hold on, bro, you can still be disciplined, still be yourself, and still set limits and boundaries. You know, and so I think I really wasn't like relaxed. I wasn't like joking as much.
No jokes.
And where are we at in this? Are we at like a second date, or is this kind of like, how long does this last?
This is like second month.
This is, I think it's starting to happen quite fast. Things are starting to happen quite fast. I mean, I want to mention too, as far as, you know, ultimately, you know, we did, you know, very soon in the beginning kind of, you know, have a business together. And this helped a lot.
Yes, it did.
If I can say this, as far as so once we started having the business, this is when the relationship really started to mature between her and I, because I'm able to see how she is with money. I'm able to see how organized she is. And these are all things that I'm like taking notes off and checking, like, wow, that's what I'm talking about. She loves to roll up her sleeves. Like, a lot of people may not have thought about that, you know, at least when like first seeing her, but she has no problem like working and getting her hands dirty. So I knew what she meant. Like, I think you told me when I moved, she wanted me to help move a washing machine.
Yes.
And I was like, sure. And that was like a big turn on.
It was.
Moving a washing machine.
It was big.
I'm like, I do this all the time on the weekends with my uncle. But
for me, it was a moment.
Yeah, it was a trip. And I was like,
why was it a moment for you?
Because it was just attractive to see a man work. And I'm like, he could, that's right.
She thought I just did computer stuff all the time.
Guys, you got to move the washing machine.
No, because like, if I want a husband, like, I want you to get down and, can you build something? Can you make something happen? Like, I'm not, because I will do it. I have no problem getting up there and making it happen. But I want to be able to see, like, can you take that role? You know, because I think that's what it is, because I'll do it. Because you ain't doing it.
Turn it up.
I know it's funny because a lot with people don't recognize how much if a portion of your marriage, it can't all be business, it has to be romance, it has to be a lot of stuff. But if you could structure your marriage with a good business structure, how much you can get out of that. And I know that these two run a show together called Mana for the Soul.
Yep.
Make sure you check it out on YouTube.
Right.
Put the link down there.
Yes.
They teach. They know how to cook.
Come on.
Yes,
And me and Ralph, we have the hard job of eating the food after.
Tasting it, being the critics.
But in it, and a lot of what you said, you talked about how you guys structure things today still with a business mindset. How does that help? What does that look like? Like as far as,
I think that business mindset comes from my parents. My parents, who are still married, have always had businesses, and they ran businesses. And so I already had that idea of independence and business, and I wanted to have something of my own. So when we first met, I have ideas. I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, oh, I want to have a t-shirt line. I want to have this. And and he's like, we could do it. I'm like,
yeah.
Really? We could do it?
We were in Sausalito, I remember that.
We're having ice cream talking about it. And I was just talking my vision of what I wanted to do. And he supported my vision. And when he supported my vision, I was like, really? You would help me with that? And he said, yeah, I would help you with that. And that meant I was like, oh, this is somebody who would work with me and kind of we could work together. And so that's how we started coming with the business. But that business mindset, we had several different businesses.
Absolutely.
Several. We have several different things going on where we're always working, and that has helped. Yeah. We're always working. And then we have meetings, not only business meetings, but we have meetings, family meetings.
Come on.
We have,
tell us more about that.
Yeah, we have moments of family. We plan things out. We have to, how are we doing this? How are we doing that? What are we gonna do? When it came to the children, I'm gonna say this. I was like, no, we want them to be gods. I was like, I'm gonna make sure that I am eating the right food.
And they're doing a great job. My son helped out with the technical stuff we set up. His son's not even out of high school. He's already flown a plane, getting licenses for planes. A tech genius. Stop playing with him. Stop playing. Has no business. Come on, stop playing. So
But yeah, and also our Namaz and Surah, our youngest, also they're both talents themselves.
Yeah.
You have businesses. I hear independent. How much does the traditional roles play into this? Is submission matter? There's a war on submission and stuff like that. So as a woman, how does that work out?
You can speak. Do you feel that
Do I feel that?
Do you feel like I'm submissive, or how do you comment?
No. Yes.
Keep it on him. You gotta say it, though.
No, as far as absolutely, I feel it's a trip as far as. My wife exudes strength, but is yet still submissive and feminine. And as far as, she certainly has that fighter nature in her, even before the jiu-jitsu. Even before the jiu-jitsu, she's always had it. But absolutely, I feel, though, that she's very submissive, but I feel as though I have earned that. From playing my role. It makes it easier for her to be herself because I'm being myself and I'm playing my role. So that plays a huge factor. As far as
what ingredients go into earning it, in your opinion?
One being consistent, output, quality. Wisdom too. Being able to, you kind of alluded to it earlier, as far as you may realize that someone may be more proficient or talented in certain areas, so
and not being intimidated by that,
right? Not being intimidated by it. And so I think the ingredients really is just consistency, honesty, being able to apologize, for something. As far as that has come, over time. Sometimes the ego is there, and so as far as one may not be so quick, but if you have a really sharp sister who's on you, she can pull that out of you while at the same time kind of keeping your ego and intact. And so as far as I would say just. Yeah, being on it and being consistent, I say, plays a huge role.
That's true, and it's what he said. What brings that out? It is true. It does. I have no problem being submissive. Saying that word just comes across weird. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't even call it that. It's not like I'm being. Right. It's just my nature comes out naturally. It's just that's my nature. Yeah. I have no problem checking in with him. You would. Even when I was like, what do you think about this? Is this okay? I have no problem checking it. It doesn't change who I am because I want to. You know what I mean? I want to be able to service him. I'm like, okay, do you want a massage? What can I cook for you? Can I Can I give you, like, you know what I mean? Can I rub your feet? Like, seriously. I want to be of service.
Yeah. You don't like me? See, this thing doesn't submit.
No, I was going to say, it's interesting because I know that there's been this kind of debate around submissive femininity and masculinity. You see it all the time, on social media. It's interesting to even say the word because we don't even use that word.
No, we don't.
Like submissive or like
But
we don't even use that word.
This is what we're finding today is things that are natural for us, like which we already do.
Yes.
People are turning it into like these little slogans to
Yes.
fight it. So when you bring it up,
You
she's
gotta
saying what she
label it.
naturally feels
It's my
like.
nature.
So it's put out in a way to make people feel bad. It's like, so
Right.
now guys are coming in thinking like the first question they're asking, have you ever came and said, do you submit? Like, this is how the way dating stuff works.
Right.
People think that's the question to ask or that's the,
Do you submit your own nature?
Right, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. You got men saying we want you to be feminine, or we want this,
Right.
and it's just things we never talked about before.
Right.
People
Come
are
on.
starting with these
Yes.
labels, and it's it's a weird thing. So I like
Yes.
how you guys stylize it and just show
Right.
like in our nature, this is how we move. It's not really some brand that you're labeling like
Yeah.
that. You know, it's kind of how they do with hate speech. You know, everything's hate speech.
Right.
If you don't want to get vaccinated,
Right.
you're a hater. You know what So you know.
Yeah.
But so I think that that's beautiful. What do you think? Where do you see yourself where you think you have like grown as far as like, wow, if I could go back, when we first got together and I could say something to myself and say, hey, come about this way. If having 18 years, I would think I would like to have done this earlier.
So you're saying,
go ahead.
so you're saying advice to the freshly married them?
My wife has helped me. Let me rephrase that. What advice would you give to your younger self? Like, or when you got together in your earlier years, what would you say to yourself with the experience that you have now? What changes would you give, if any?
Or just advice?
Yeah, just advice. We'll say advice.
It's interesting. So I remember sharing some words with someone who was newly married some years ago. They were doing some video at work or whatnot, and this expression actually they use it in marketing all the time. But as far as I kind of flipped it around and used it for marriage, and the advice that I gave the young lady who just recently got married is that the wedding is the event, the marriage is the journey. And so sometimes we think that the union is going to happen like right away as a result of having known them for some time, and now we're getting married, like it's all good. And so you continue to learn each other. And so in hindsight, I wouldn't have thought that I'm still learning my wife. We're about to go into 18.
Especially because she keeps changing.
Yeah, she's growing, she's changing, she's evolving, and likewise am I. And so I just wouldn't have thought. In my head, I would have thought like maybe after 3 years, 2 years, like that's enough time. You know what I mean? Like think about it. Like people go to school for like 4 years and get a degree. They're qualified. They've arrived, right? So as far as surely 2, 3, 4 years, but that's not the case. And so as far as it would have been to myself to understand that as far as this is going to be a continuous journey, and it's not going to be a 3 or 4 year thing. And she's also learning you as well. So I just thought like, okay, engaged, because I've proposed because I feel as though I know you enough to now want to have this union.
How long into the proposal from the first date?
From we first had kind of
well, that happens sometime. Yeah.
So it was in 05. Yeah, from
2.5 years.
2, 3.
3 years.
3 should know this.
I know.
As far as I would say about.
But you
because
already
we were
had
doing
mine.
the business.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So that was the thing too, like the business stuff.
How did children affect marriage? Like having children, you're together, we're doing business, we can do everything, we're moving, and then we're pregnant. How does that affect?
So I think for me, first off, like I was in real estate, selling homes, and I was like, hold on, like, I'm like, how is income going to come in? How are we going to make this happen? So this is our first year in marriage. So I was like, I don't have to work. I don't have to, but I'm not going to be able to work anymore. Yeah. And how do you feel about that? And he was like, no, let's make it happen, and because I was like, because I want to be able to give like being a mother, like I want to give my all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I understand that's not always the case, but I was like, okay, because I'm like a very committed person.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, when I'm pregnant, I want to be able to do this and do that. And the thing is, like, he really supported me to what I wanted to do and just
Right.
was my backbone and allowing me to move, you know, and I was moving within his range, you know what I mean? So I'm not like doing too much, you know,
right.
I'm always checking to like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think? So I'm always checking to see. And if something was off, I'm like, okay, no, you're right. So we're always engaging with each other, but,
It's so crazy to hear this because now you seem so full-blown mother, like the way you move, and he seems so like he's bringing the money, doing the stuff, sponsoring everything that's going. That's kind of the way it feels. So to hear how the business started like that, to see that you guys were so kind of working together like that, it's when does that change happen? When it's just like, you know, because now he's like, I'll pay for it seems like he's investing into your ideas now. And so
everything.
right.
Yeah.
And so it's I would have never thought you started like that by the way that, you know, from knowing you.
I think it's really important. I think this is really important to know as far as that wasn't always the case. You know, as far as right now, I have the means, you know, to take care of the family. But there was a time to where like my wife was helping, you know, and so as far as, and this was very early on, but I always knew that I wanted to be the man to like, you know, hold it down.
So it is something you yearn for to make sure you want.
Absolutely. Like always. And so as far as, you know, credit to the wife, as far as while we were doing the business and while she was pregnant, she had a little something. And so with that, I'm able to kind of work on the side and work on the business. But what ended up happening is, so our first business, it was we thought that, you know, when you launch it, they will come. Right?
No.
That did not happen. Mind you.
An entrepreneur.
Right. And so it was a
game.
trip because, you know, it was one of those things to where she's like, okay, babe, like there's like $400 in the account. And you know what I mean?
we gonna do?
And I'm like, you said that so calm. Like, really? Like there's only like $400? I was like maybe $600.
Yeah.
But
Right.
still, it was a very scary moment because she's pregnant.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and as far as I'm like, man, I have to make this happen. And so the beautiful thing about it is that the work that I was doing for our business ended up becoming a resume that eventually got me into tech, right? So doing for self was really all the evidence that was needed for others to see value. And I was so overjoyed once I got something because I was like, man, cool. You know, I
So
was
did you
able
like
to,
go on and like an intense search for like, okay, how do I get a
so
brand?
I mean, let me tell you this, and I think it's good to know this, you know, as far as I'm making what I'm making, which was okay at the time, right? So, but then what ended up happening when I'm looking at all the expenses, I have to make double in order to hold it down. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
So you imagine, like it's like 40,000, but now I gotta make 80.
Right.
Like, where do you get an increase like that? I was already doing like visual design work. I always had that. The beautiful thing is I always had a talent and a skill, you know, so I could always get something. But I realized that I'm like, hold on. Well, how has design changed? What's happening in design? And then I realized, okay, product design. Okay, like web. Okay, so I was on Craigslist, you know what I mean? And I'm like praying to the God, sending stuff. And literally, like I said, using the work that I had done as a resume and end up getting something, you know? But yeah, I think that, so I'm saying that to say that it wasn't always myself having what I have to like support. I'm very thankful that my wife had faith, wasn't a ball of nerves, right? Like breathing down my neck. And so she had confidence that had me feel confidence, and we stayed in prayer.
Yeah.
And it all happened, and things
I
turned
think
around
when you
for
said
our work.
she said it so calm, it's true. Cause okay, we only got $400. What are we gonna do? Like because not that I because the thing is, I'm gonna say this. Like there's been times even with my family, we were homeless.
Right.
I have
Same.
6
Same
brothers and
here.
sisters.
Right.
here.
And we're like, I've been here. What we
I've
doing?
been here. So I'm a very problem solving. So I've been there before. It's not that you break up. It's just like it's not the end of the world. Yeah, this is where we're at. let's look at the facts. Let's look at the problem. How are we going to answer this?
Right.
So there's been times that we've answered, we sold things off.
Oh, yeah.
The television, the treadmill, the car.
TV.
Like, I'm like, just that
sure
will
did.
come back.
We
It will
sold
come
that
back.
off.
So I
We
have
sure
no
did.
problem. This is like material things, but this relationship, we're going to keep this. And what do we
better
we just need
teach.
the bare minimum
Right.
just to keep the roof over our heads.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, sell this, make this happen. Like, we want to do Uber, we want to do this. Like,
Right.
we had no problem getting down. I was like, I could go to, do this. So I think that's always like, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, it's a problem. We look at it, but it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Allow this to get the best out of you.
Come on. So that confidence pretty much came from experience in your childhood.
Yeah.
'Cause I was going to literally ask you, why
Yeah.
were you so confident in him? And why weren't you a ball of nerves? Why didn't, as a woman and, we want to be safe and it's like, you could have stressed out, but you just didn't.
Yeah. So I think the confidence, you're right. I think it was just seeing my parents and how they manage things, and they have 6 children and making sure we're still together. Yes, my parents fight. They have their, differences and stuff, but, they're still together. They made things happen. We were homeless. They had businesses. We had everything. And then we lost everything. And then going through that, and I went to 4 different high schools. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny. People don't understand. And I think I shared this on Mana.
Right.
I have got a lot of hate, and I've been a loner myself, and I'm to myself. So I think that's just something in my nature to kind of like, okay, well, I've been here before. I'm not afraid.
Right.
I'm not afraid. Like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
So it's okay. And like, how we just gonna get out of it?
Right. I wanted to ask you, is this how you guys go about trials that may come up in your marriage? Like, for me and Marquise, like, if a trial is presented, we strive to be like, okay, this is me and you against this trial. We're not going to make us against each other, or, like, how do we conquer this and like get through it? Is that how you guys typically, have a meeting? Like, what is how do you guys go about like trials that may come up? And you have like almost 18 years under your belt. So of course that comes.
When the trial comes, first is emotions, and it's kind of, it's being able to kind of, because your emotions are high, and you being able to kind of calm your emotions and rising above your emotions, because that's key. Because like a lot of times you just, emotions make you do some crazy stuff,
right?
And just looking at straight facts. So that's the first part of it. I think we do try to work it out, but I think that working out has been a growth period overall. I think we've got better at that working out. And I'm gonna say this, like you and I both say this, like we don't have like fights. We don't. We never ever fought. We have disagreements, and I'm not even putting that on as thick. It's disagreements. Like, I'm
There been some passionate disagreements, but like fight, like name calling, anything like that. Like, that's off.
No,
that's not even a thing.
It's we both are giving each other the mutual respect.
Right,
I still respect him as an individual.
Right.
I'm not gonna just treat him like anything, because he is still a man. He is himself. He had he's coming from something. So because of that respect, I'm not gonna disrespect him, and also I'm not getting too comfortable.
Right.
I don't even know how to explain that. Like, I'm not doing everything in front of him. Yeah.
That's a funny thing to say. I know what you're saying.
Wow.
That's me long.
Like, I'm not getting too comfortable, even though I'm comfortable. That's my husband. Like, but I'm still like, hold on, like, I'm not getting too comfortable with you.
Right.
But I think that comfort, like knowing, it's like, what's it? Comfortability breeds content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Familiarity breeds content.
Yeah. I'm not getting too familiar. we're familiar, but this is the point. I'm still giving him his respect. He's still an individual. I'm not going to be like.
Sometimes it is weird sometimes, when you can see, you got someone who's here and we're acting like this, then someone goes to their boss or whatever, and they're all the perfect person to everybody else. And you don't need your spouse to be perfect, but you still want to see that effort. You still want to have some mystery.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You just,
the mystery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big thing.
That's big. Yeah.
And
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I feel like also as a woman, like in the beginning, the way we cared about like, how do I look? What does he think? But then when we get married, we're like, I don't care how I look or what he thinks. But the fact that you're saying like, no, I care, like, still.
Yes,
and I think that's very important. I totally understand.
Like, I'm gonna be honest. Even when no makeup or no nothing, my hair, like, I was like, okay, I still want to look cute. I want to look presentable.
And they don't even realize that we think that's cute too. You know what I mean? Milan be like, sorry, I look like. I'm like, your mom. That's what I got me. That's what I like.
Right.
I like that.
I'm telling you, yeah. So as far as like, that's one thing too that also attracted me too. Just being a designer, attention to detail, like the fact that like she wasn't wearing foundation, right? The fact that very minimal makeup, right, really allowed me to kind of see her beauty and stuff like that. I really like that. You know what I mean? Right. I felt like just
that's the highest we heard his voice. I really like that.
Yeah. So as far as that was one thing that I paid attention to and it caught my attention. But yeah.
What do you guys feel like is the best way to make up after a fight, or like go about like getting back? Like, well, you guys don't fight.
Well,
so
no.
After you disagree.
So there were passionate disagreements.
After you disagree.
And also at the same time, the approach. My approach may have been wrong. Right? Or the timeliness, right?
Sometimes a big one.
Sometimes it's like, well, wait a second, as far as that could have waited, like, because you didn't factor in that this and this was going on as well. But you just, I say this as far as, I know for myself, apologizing, but not just apologizing, but as far as walking back a little bit to kind of show how I can see it from her perspective and I understand, right? So now it's not just like, oh, I said I'm sorry, but as far as having her to feel comfort in the fact that there were some lessons that, you know what I mean?
Right.
I got at it.
I understand. It's like, I'm not sorry to shut you up.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
like, I'm walking back. I understand. And if I understand what went wrong, then I can, if I know what I did in the past, I know what better to do in the future.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I was going to say too, another thing too, that always comes to mind is like, the atonement process, right? So how can I make sure that like, we don't repeat this again? Because the thing is not to keep going back and forth to the same thing.
Right.
But as far as, look, I'll make sure that this and this happens so that we can, mitigate or minimize this from happening again. Or just seeing where the wrong had happened. And sometimes it's really been on both parts. It could be a combination of things. So, I'll say this too. I remember there was one time we were like, okay, so if someone is offended, perhaps we can like give each other space, maybe 24 hours or whatever. But then I realized too, like sometimes that don't really go. Right. I mean, it doesn't mean that sometimes you don't need a moment to yourself, but sometimes 24 hours can be a very long time for something else to fester.
Right.
So you also have to use wisdom too to say, well, wait a second, the way this is kind of eating at me, I do need to address this because the way because I'll just keep quiet. And this will go for like 3-4 days because I know how I'm gonna get down. But that's not healthy
That was
though.
a problem.
But that's
And sometimes
I need to deal with that.
How did I deal with
She
that?
said I'm still dealing with it.
we're just talking because of this. That's the only reason why we're talking.
No, that was big because I'm like, he's keeping quiet too long. And the thing is, at first, I was a little bit too, I don't know, what's the word? I can't even find the word, but just like on him too much. Like, I was just like, what's wrong? What's going on? We forget it. And that was more of a turn off. He just even keep me more turn. And I was like, but because his chemistry or his energy was throwing me off.
Right.
And I was just like, I'm not settled. It's on my mind and I can't work. And you don't know what you're doing to me.
And it's not to say that I'm not impacted as well, but I'm playing it off though.
You know
what I mean? And I thought for me, usually when I got to take the time, it's because it's more is the emotional management. And it's just sometimes like if I say it right now, it's going to translate wrong. You know what I mean? I don't know if my voice is going to be too loud. I don't know if what is. And sometimes you go into environments that's a little aggressive. So it's kind of like, so I got to go back. I've went through a lot of time where I've had to go and like train myself how to talk. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't ask me right now. Let me come back and be smart. You know what I'm saying? And deal with it. So I do know there is that healthy distance that's there. And then there's just those we're walking past each other for a few days that you don't want to do. You just don't want to do it.
I was addressing, so we made a pact to kind of say to each other, like, hold on, like
made a pact. I love that language.
Well, because when we have like issues that arise,
Right.
each one is a learning lesson, and each one we talk about. Okay, how are we gonna fix this next time this comes up? Like it's just like a problem, and when this comes up again, this is how we're gonna solve this. And we talk about that.
Make a pact. That if anything, put that's a bar. Make a pact though. The thing is with marriage, a lot of stuff will be consistent. It's gonna happen again and again. So we now
happen again.
We have an advantage because we get to plan. So why not we make a pact? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Okay, let's make a pact. You never gonna call me that again. Or let's make a pact. We won't do that in front of the children.
I never called him anything.
But she knew she was the kind of guy. I don't do that. I had certain things with me. You know, I grew up in my house. You know how stuff. So I'm just like, look, I've seen women say a lot. Not me. You know what I'm saying? And that was also in why I picked a certain level of temperament. I think she has a lot of intelligence. But I've dated before. So I just, you with that girl. She like, okay, you cute and I love you and I like you. But we can't both square up like this. You know what I mean? Like we can't do that. So I think we got to make pacts.
Yeah, if I can say too, what has also helped is having the same belief. So as far as when you understand, so it's very it's easier. Like for example,
say that
if she mentions something like related to the leader, right? She mentions something related that's foundational to our belief,
right?
On facts and truth.
Then you got to submit to that. Like now you're dealing with ego,
right?
And so as far as that makes things easier too. But it's also it's also making sure that it doesn't. Like prevention, right? The best medicine, right?
Right.
So again, sometimes just realizing, hold on, let me word this very carefully. Or sometimes I'll say, look, I don't want this to be taken wrong, but I do want to share with you, X, Y, and Z.
I love that.
I just wanted to.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah,
share that.
I don't want you to take this wrong, but you're annoying me right now. And I want to say something special about that too, about how you said same belief. It's funny how you can find a lot of things that align. It's like if we both ended up, say, at this mosque, or we both ended up at this church, then we already have some idea of where we're trying to go in life. Whereas if we meet at this club, and it doesn't mean we can't, but it's just I don't know who's here.
Right.
I don't know what you believe or what you do, so it doesn't. And it's always been kind of cool to meet in a, even if you're at the Peace Corps, we're both meeting, trying to feed people or something. It's just we understand we have certain values. You can't get with just anybody. You're a Muslim man and you say, I just don't want her to eat pork. Well, where'd you meet her at? She like pork. Stop playing with her. Don't get mad at her for being her. So
evenly yoked. I've heard that term in the church all the time, and so but yeah. Having the same foundational belief helps with that. It makes things go smoother. It also gives her leverage in these uncomfortable situations when she's dealing with an ego to check it.
Yes.
And if I don't, then now the self-accusing spirit is hitting me like, bro, bro, what are you holding on to now?
There's nothing like having a guiding line or system to be able to hold a man by. And nowadays, be able to hold a woman by. It's like, okay, we both subscribe to this.
Right.
How important is it to not beat someone up with it, though?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really do that.
No.
I think what it is because I love him. I'm not using that to beat him up. I'm just using it just to bring out something. It's just like, not to say you're talking to children, but you love your children.
Right.
You're teaching them a lesson, not to beat them up, but for them to understand, like, no, these are facts. You have to do better. And it's not you're doing better because of this. It's just this is what it's supposed to be, how it works.
It's funny. I saw online this guy talking about like when a woman is even like trying to require better out of you, that's definitely love. Because if she doesn't care, that's like a scary moment where she's like, oh, you can do whatever you want. I don't care where you are in life. She ain't on you. Like, but if she wants more and better for you, that's real love. Yeah.
And a lot of times that's where the word submission comes for us. Because now when you got a woman who challenges you or a woman who wants better out of you, then all of a sudden we want you to submit to being quiet. Just submit to who I am. So now I want to use the word feminine to try to, so I can still be who I am, opposed to allowing you room to help me. You know what I'm saying? And to help build me. So it's, we don't be like to be challenged.
And that's being manipulative, like you said, in terms of like beating people over the head. Like what comes to mind too is like, nobody fell out of heaven. And I think I think there's a scripture in the Bible that says our righteousness is as filthy rags, you know, in the sight of God. So it's like, bro, like, who are you? Come on, you doing way too much. Like, you got faults. You know what I mean? Don't, you know, and vice versa. You know, so yeah, you know, I remember talking to an individual who was married and no longer was, and I remember I was like, bro, what happened? You know, and he was like, bro, you know, don't ever. He more or less was saying that he wasn't being very careful with his words or the way he was going at, you know, he was being a little too hard on his wife, and he was like, man, don't do that. She's not one of the guys, you know. She's not one of the guys like that, you know.
That's
and
what's beautiful about them.
And when he said that, he was just kind of pouring out like, bro, I did too much and I lost. Man, that hit me.
Yeah.
No, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, because I recall early on having egos, but I was able to see where the ego will take you ultimately. That really hit me emotionally. Yeah. I remember that. I mean, I'm getting a little emotional just playing it back.
Yeah.
But I remember that he was just like, bruh, if you have something, don't F up like I did.
Wow.
Hold on to what you got. I messed up. And I messed up. And it's hard in a world like this.
Oh man,
bro, I feel for anybody trying to search for somebody in this day and time.
Right.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Like that, just the idea.
Yeah.
When you look at the options that are out there, male or female, it's crazy as hell. Like I feel for anybody.
I love what he said too about like, don't talk to her like she's one of the guys. I think it's one of the biggest balancing things about women for us. You know, we would, if it was just us, we would be one way. And so, you know, then they come along and we're like, oh, I gotta have a heart. I got feelings. Like, you know, so I can't just come like, you know, you find words, you find out you got a vocabulary. You find out you got patience, you know how to pace yourself more. And you know, and that's a big one. I love what he said, and I love that eventually you became accountable. Because you know, that's what we do. When it's too late, we see everything and we get it. That's a tough one.
And one thing I heard too, shout out to Brother Minister Abdul Rashidullah, he had said, you know, there's a way to say everything. There's a way to say everything.
There's a way.
And as far as that's just a universal principle.
Yes.
And there sometimes you have to give, you know, pause for a moment and say, hold on, well, what's the right choice of words? Or okay, let me come this way, you know. But there is a way to say everything. There is a way to say everything.
And actually, I use that too. Like even now, I'm like, hold on, there is a way of how to handle this, how to say this, how to do this. I use that all the time. That's always in the back of my mind. I was like, you know, there's a way. If that's the answer, I can figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that is truth. And I can make this happen. Like, how am I going to be able, I have to figure out how to say it. It's just getting the right key. You know what I mean? I totally agree with that. So when we have things like, I was like, hold on, how am I going to say this?
It's the reason why I talk to myself so much. Because I go and I have to always do the conversation I was going to have with her. I go have it with myself.
Yes, sir.
And by the end of the conversation, I just be like, man, you're an idiot. Like, you know, like, that's the first thing that came to your mind to say that. And so then when I come back and I dig inside my words deeper, and I'm just like, it's like, man, and that's what I love about marriage. I think that's what I love about women. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you got to think beyond your own capacity. And it expands you.
Yes,
you know, it really
sir.
does. So I just think it's really beautiful. Milan got the cards in her hands.
Shout out to women. Okay, so now we're going to get into the and from the Skin Deep collection. And this is the long-term couple. So we're just going to answer 3 questions.
Okay.
Before we head out.
Let's do it.
All right. So you can answer. It's for both of you.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay, so what surprises you about our relationship now? I don't know how to answer this.
I know that, I guess now, like, I guess the fact that look, I'm not saying this, that I'm still in love with my wife. And the fact that I, you know, yeah, I mean, as far as, I mean, at the level that I'm at, like what I'm saying is there hasn't been any love lost. It's just grown, you know? And I'll say this, that, read the question one more time.
What surprises you about our relationship now?
don't know, that it's
I almost say this, like,
Yes.
it's always been surprises. I think we're always growing, and so we're always at a different level and growing. So it's not like something that's been anything like, oh my God, like this is like, but
Yeah.
anything surprising me
like
right now.
that's the thing, the word
The word
surprising.
surprise.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Because
like,
it's always this
Surprises
growth.
are when you're planning, you know, when,
Yeah.
when you're building and you're constant. So when you
Yeah.
fall to something, it's
and
not
then we're
so.
Yeah.
constantly growing and constantly challenging and stuff. So it's constant surprises.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so I think surprise, like I'm still like, I think what it is like, I'm sometimes surprised that I have no problem still, not to say I'm gonna say this, like I'm very strong minded and I don't like control.
She said it straight.
But I'm surprised to this point where I have no problem when it comes to control with him because I know that he is my security. He's controlling in a, not, I don't like the word control, but it's like,
She still don't like it.
no, but it's like I know he's my protection.
Right.
And I feel safe with him. I feel secure with him. And I feel like I could go to him with things. I'm surprised that is something I don't like. And I'm surprised that
That he makes it so enjoyable.
right?
working. Yeah, real
It-
talk.
It is.
No.
And it's not as a how can I say, like egotistic way. And he doesn't abuse that. And then there's things I've even tested him on, you know.
What?
not
What?
We're always testing. Always.
and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And I was like, there's no ego,
Right.
you know. And I'm like, when I don't see the ego, I'm like, this is true, this is real. Sometimes the answer surprises me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
Right. Hey, you're passing the test. G.
Oh, I guess I am. I want to know what the test was.
Right. You know what I think with that same question, what surprises me
What?
is how rare this is now. How rare, like how much of it's a surprise now. You know, when we bring up, when we say 18 years, I remember, you know, when I was a child, it was like, yeah, everybody, right. So the surprise is like what, you know, what's been here, was normal before, is now such a rare
Bro.
circumstance and situation. Happy long-term marriages. That's crazy.
You said something that's interesting. I have a cousin who was teaching high school, he's now teaching college, but he was teaching high school students, and at one time he was celebrating 5-year anniversary, and all the students reacted, and they were like, oh my God, 5 years, like relationship goals. And although he was delighted that they were kind of applauding and giving him accolades for that, he was just saying to himself, like, bro, that was so sad though.
Right. Yeah.
Like
right.
they really thought like 5 years was like huge.
Yeah, right.
And we started to talk, and I was like, it's interesting because I think the average marriage in the US is like 8 years. Oh. And half of all marriages end in divorce. And so the thing about it is the other half that exists, what's the quality of those marriages?
Right. Yeah. Right.
So
right.
when you really look, like what kind
Yeah.
of example
Yeah.
is there today?
Right,
So
right,
when
right.
they're celebrating, they're applauding at 5 years, it's because there really aren't many examples
Right.
worth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and credit to you know, people who are making it happen today.
Yes.
There are levels of pressure today like
Yes.
never before. Usually when you
True.
found who you were married to, the proximity of even women you had access to was
Yeah.
around the neighborhood, you know,
Right.
your job, your whatever. Now
Right.
you always connected. You
Always
always see the other
connected.
options. You always see, and the level of communication.
Yes, sir.
You know, people used to have phones and it was like you communicated for a certain amount of time. You had to get
Mm-hmm.
home to talk. Now, I'm going through things that brothers back in the days never went through. And Elon's mad at me because I didn't look at what she sent to me on Instagram. Like, brothers never went through this before.
Right,
Like, now I
right.
got to pay attention to the phone, the cell phone, the Instagram, and the TikTok, and the YouTube. I got to watch so many different situations. So
that's
the level of communication, in 2 years, you communicate more than someone has in 10
Wow,
years. So
that
it's
is
a
so
lot.
deep.
We fight. We all working
That's
on this
deep.
today. We're all together, y'all. We're all together.
that's so
I
true.
like, that's funny you say that because I said the same thing. I was like, you didn't like my post.
It's just, no man back in 1990s had to go through not liking a post.
Right. Didn't even exist. Didn't even exist. Double tap. Did you double tap though?
Question number 2, Big Ralph got it.
Question number 2. What do you think has been our greatest accomplishment thus far as a couple? Man, do I answer? I can answer?
Yeah.
Oh,
start?
you're asking me?
Yes, you asking her first.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm asking her.
And then you'll answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
got you.
number one, I'm gonna say our children.
Yeah.
I am so proud of them. Each one of them have their gifts and their talents. I mean, there's so much I could talk about my Zan. I'm just so proud of him. I'm so proud of Sura. She is so talented. She's an artist. She's strong. She's a whole fierce category in herself. Even though we have her like, okay, she's not like out there like my Zan. She's doing big things.
Right.
And Namaz is so intelligent. I think that is like the fruits of your labor.
Right.
Just speaks so much, and I'm so proud of that. And I think that's a moment that speaks so much to me of my goals, is just being able to deposit something to leave behind, as parents. Yeah. And also it's very proud moments also for our parents, their grandparents. Yeah. They love that. To this day, my dad's like, oh wow, because his name Rupan, right? So that name is out there, like that name. It's like, man, this is the first so and so like doing this, and he's the first so and so doing this, and he's not in the paper because he got arrested. He's not in the news because this happened, but for all positive things. Right. And I just feel proud about that. Yeah. And I pray that continues, and that we do our parts as parents, because anything can happen. I mean, I could fall short, and I pray that we could keep them close and do our part as parents to provide them what they need.
Right. Yeah. What's your answer?
Can I fall behind that real quick? I just want to bear witness real quick to their children. They have such great children, great temperaments. We do we co-run a camp for children or whatever, and their children came to the camp. What I love about them is they're so temperate and they're calm and they're cool. But we have fight tournaments. Come on. So they also do jujitsu. When I learned, like, they get down. They choking people. Okay, so I said, okay, and it's a beautiful contrast to just the way they are. That all of them, they all fought. They all came in. They got down. And you can see it. I've never seen them go until then. I said, they growling. Okay, I said, so it's just beautiful. I've got to bear witness about the children. It really is.
Yes, sir. I would say our children as well. As far as, and really, I gotta give props to the wife. As far as, it's interesting that my wife has done a lot to get it to this point, and we really work together. As far as, because she was going to the library, we were reaching out to family members, for some homeschooling, we networking with other parents, buying science stuff. I mean, before he got into 3D printing, it's because he went to the library, right? Wow. Like the coding programs, all of that stuff. And then myself working with, my Zan to take it a little bit further, working with other engineers and developers. And so I would say absolutely the children, and not just my Zan, as far as their two other children as well, as far as their talents as well. And you're right, just because Sura isn't in the limelight doesn't mean that she isn't shining and doing stuff.
Yeah, she's a great cook. She could cook a meal. Yeah. She could bake.
But protecting the female.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's her name. Her name means protection. So, you know what I mean? So,
absolutely. Yeah.
I would say our biggest accomplishment is maintaining such an amazing friendship after all these years.
Aww, yes.
So what do you think our biggest accomplishment is?
Man, biggest accomplishment. What y'all saying? What they said. I always go back to our children. I think that's the biggest accomplishment. But since y'all said it, I just want to be a little more original. Y'all both said the same thing, and I love what she said. But I love our ability to be in such war environments. And how we maintain just seeing each other. We're invited to so much stuff. Yes, at this point in our life, we're not looking for a party. We're not looking for this. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of DMs. There's a lot of reasons for a lot of stuff. And we both hold tight with each other. When we go into events and we're at different places. And we're yacht parties. There's just so much stuff. You know what I mean? And I love that we stay consistent on our morals, on our values, and that there's just a certain level of like we really go into war. And in this world is, it's not even just about it's not promoting marriage. This war is against it. I'm aware that there's some people who would just want me just because they want to show that her love isn't real and what she has isn't real. So we're very in these environments aware that we cover each other, we have each other's back, and we're not trying to make each other look crazy. In this entertainment music industry, we're by Allah's grace, we're blessed to whatever poster I had on the wall and whatever poster she had on the wall, we get to meet them. You know what I mean? We get to see it. We get to be around that. So the fact that we're consistent on, she was what I liked then, but you what I like now. You know what I mean? And so I love that, and I think that's I think that's a big accomplishment for us.
That's right.
All right, and we will end on that note. This was so bomb to me. I think there's a lot of gems dropped, and I just really, really appreciate you guys coming on here and just dropping gems and just reflecting your love. I admire you guys and always have. And I mean, back when it's funny, I tell her about, like, I used to watch just you guys travel, and like, and then you would like cut up the video, and then you would pick a dope song. I'm like, that's the perfect song. That's the perfect song for that video. So it's just funny then just to finally meet you guys and just to consider you guys our friends and just someone that we can really look up to. And that's just amazing. So shout out to you all. Shout out to your love.
Yeah, shout out to you guys.
And this is my husband Marquise.
It's my wife Nilam.
And this is Love and War.